What's going on, everyone? And before we get into the video today, it's gonna be about books. If you don't recognize from obviously the title or my surroundings, I want to give a shout out to the Ford Forward Project. I'll have a link below to the website, Instagram, all that stuff. So nonprofit, they are created to help veterans, help with basically anybody, the first responders, firefighters, anything like that that deal with PTSD, any kind of post-traumatic stress, anything like that. So it's a great organization. They are just starting out with some really big things. So really cool. They gave me the shirt right here. So one of their many designs that are really awesome. And whether it's they have a skincare products, body wash, all that kind of stuff. They have a operator beard oil, beard and shave oil. So great products, keeps this baby silky smooth and beautiful. So great stuff. Give them a shout out on Instagram, look them up. Great organization and doing great things. So without further ado, let's get into the video. All right, so as the title suggests, we're gonna do a couple books. So it's a new series that I'm gonna try to do every once in a while, just like with my games for vets, where I highlight a few games that that are basically they're fun. They could help people that are dealing with various issues or just need that escape. So kind of want to do the same thing, but with books. Because as I said when I did my library tour, if you haven't seen that video, I'll have it at the end here. On the after the video's ended, have a little card. But in general, I think reading is one of the most important things that you could do. Just overall, it's basically has propelled the world to the state it's in now. I mean, without reading, without the written word, we wouldn't have what we have. So um, obviously the books I read, I wouldn't. I mean, they're definitely well important, but they're definitely it's not reading technical manuals. It's not reading educational stuff. It's not biographies about people's lives, anything like that. For me, reading is all about the enjoyment. It's about that escape. It's about seeing the imagination of what someone else has been able to create. And it's in a lot of ways the same as why I like RPGs, why I like those role playing games and those immersive games, is that it takes that imagination of somebody in the group or a group of people and kind of shows you what could be, what basically is capable of the human imagination. And the I was thinking about the other day, one of the big things I like, I mean, about books, about RPGs, about those type of games, any kind of where it has it's heavily story driven, which obviously books are, is that in a lot of ways it gives you what really what in a lot of ways people should be. It gives you what like the type of conversations that people that a lot of times you wish you could have with people, or that you wish people would have in general. Talking about morality, talking about just deep conversation about the world, about you know basically nature, just really anything that you can actually get deep on that could have meaning. And I think it's something that's definitely lost today. I mean, you look at social media, you look at the news, and yeah, there's some stuff that definitely is important, but in a lot of ways, it's basically just all noise. It's all just pettiness. It's all just people being shallow, being stupid, and you lose a lot. You don't get a lot of those intellectual conversations, and a lot of the basically the depth where you really learn how people are, learn what they think, how they feel, that kind of stuff. And so that's one thing that I love about books, is that obviously the writer they're making it up, so their imagination can soar. But in a lot of ways, like, I mean, obviously it still tells a story, good versus evil, fighting, well, literal demons, your own demons in your mind, that kind of stuff. But it they paint the picture of, and it's focused, it's focused on what's going on within that moment. So there's not a lot of the frivolity and basically the shallowness that you see in our world today. So that's what I like about it. So without further ado, let's get into the I have 5 books here that I'd say for that are good entry points for really just about anybody wanting to get into more of the fantasy genre, the fiction genre. Yeah, it's great books. So first off, we're going to do, so it's by author Brandon Sanderson, and a lot of you probably know this. He's a very, very popular author, has had some amazing hits, especially with the work that he did finishing the amazing and legendary Wheel of Time series by Robert Jordan after he passed away. But this one was kind of almost like one of his breakout hits when he kind of that propelled him into stardom, and that's Mistborn. So it's a trilogy of right now 6, and I do believe that he's making a 7th one right now. You have this set. There's 3 total. This one and then 2 others, and then he has 3 kind of a sequel trilogy. But it's an amazing book. It kind of takes a interesting take on the world, and obviously won't give a lot of spoilers away, but how it's been shaped and everything. But the main protagonist, which is Vin, and she basically has I guess hard to explain. I don't want to give much away, but she's what they call a Mistborn, which basically they're able to use metals, like they ingest bits of metal, and then that gives them powers. They can use powers. So again, not going to give a whole lot away, but it's a great book. It's awesome, and it's surprisingly in depth for being a little bit smaller in terms of a lot of fantasy books. They're usually very large. These ones it's fairly easy to read. You can go through it pretty quick. But very in-depth story, a really cool take on the world itself, on how things are made. Yeah, great one to start with. Next we have should be no secret to anybody, and I guess they shouldn't be unknown to anybody. C.S. Lewis's The Magician's Nephew. Now, this copy itself says it's the 6th book in the series. So obviously this is an older version, but this chronologically, this is the first one in the Chronicles of Narnia series. Obviously, very short read, but the story that this tells, the story that C.S. Lewis tells, is just amazing, especially with how small they are. All of the books, they're all very, very short. You can finish them within a day, really, depending on how quick you read. But story, it's amazing. Kind of goes from the conception of the world to the end of it, and it has a lot of Christian undertones to it, a lot of religious undertones to it, but in a lot of ways it makes it even better, because it kind of takes a different take on things, and how it could be, how the world could be, and how the afterlife could be. So an amazing book. I would recommend this to literally anybody, but you could lose yourself in it, especially even for a day. You can stretch it out. There's 7 books in the series. It's fantastic. All right, this one has been popular, and I'm not even going to mention the movie adaptation of it, because that was an abomination. It was a catastrophe. But Rick Riordan's The Lightning Thief. So this is the first one in his Percy Jackson the Olympian series. There is 5 of them, I believe? Yes, 5 of them in this one. And the thing I like about this one, it is considered a young adult novel. It is fairly easy to do. You could read it fairly quickly. But the thing I like about it is it takes a lot of the Greek mythology, and its subsequent ones, Roman mythology, Norse mythology, all that. It basically takes these mythology of the gods, and that are basically, they're almost like people, and it just kind of gives it such a cool twist on it, and especially in terms of like demigods and the legends of Hercules and all that, Perseus, all that. So it's an awesome book, and I like that it's lighthearted. They some of them can get a bit darker like that, but every series that he has, he has 4 or 5 now within these different worlds, but it keeps it light, it keeps it fun, and it's just an enjoyable read, because there's a lot of books, and a lot of them that I love and I read, that they're very heavy, they're very epic fantasy, they're very in a lot of ways slow in that aspect, where you have so much detail, which is great in its own right. But I like when it's more fast paced. It doesn't get too much into the nitty gritty of the details. It just does what matters, which is the story. All right, now basically going a 180 in terms of the light easy reads, kind of keep it simple, to the beginning of an extremely epic fantasy. Some say the greatest epic fantasy series of all time. I definitely do, and that is The Wheel of Time. So this one, it's New Spring. This actually didn't come out until a few books in, because it technically is a prequel to that series, and I picked this one, not necessarily because obviously it's just a prequel, but I feel like it is a very good I guess, entry point into the series, because it is a lot smaller than a lot of the other books, and so it is a bit more fast paced. So Robert Jordan really kind of it really and in my opinion wanted to do more of an entry point into the series, because a lot of his, especially by the time this came out, I mean, it was an established um, epic fantasy, and so it's like when a lot of time when you see that, when they see 14 books, and you think, man, that's a lot. That's a lot to invest in, a lot of time, because I mean, shoot, really it could take you almost a year to read them all, depending on how quick you read. So, um, but getting started with this one, I mean, it you don't really need to know anything about the world to be able to enjoy it. Obviously, it is the prequel, so it kind of sets up a whole lot of things, but it does make a lot of the the future books make a lot more sense. It really gives a good description of what happened prior that a lot of these other books reference. And the thing I like about Robert Jordan, his style, and these books in general, is that there is so much foreshadowing, and there's so many things that, like, I mean, I've read them. I'm in my fourth or fifth time reading them all the way through right now, this whole series. And every time I read them, it amazes me that you'll read stuff from New Spring, you'll read stuff from the first one, The Eye of the World, and it'll make reference to things that it'll still be referencing in book 10 and book 11 and 12. So it is so amazing the amount of detail that he's able to go in with this, and it just shows you just how master of his craft that he was. And I mean, it's a tragedy that he wasn't able to finish this. He died before he was able to, but it is also why Brandon Sanderson did a phenomenal job wrapping it up in what was supposed to be one more book, at least in terms of what Robert Jordan wanted, I believe, or planned on, end up being 3 books. Just the amount of content and the amount of stories and the amount of plot lines that need to be wrapped up. So fantastic series in general. I couldn't praise this enough. But I mean, out of any of these books, this would probably be the one. I mean, out of any of them, buy this book, try it out. You will not regret it. All right, and the final one, it's a bit different, and that's what I really like about it. So it's one of my other favorite authors, Terry Brooks, and this one it's called The Magic Kingdom for Sale, and then with a sold, then it says sold, kind of a, that you'd stamp on real estate. So the thing I like about this, I mean, this is a very old copy. You can see kind of by the the cover art. It it's one. I mean, I don't even know when it came out. It came out quite a while ago, but at least a few decades. And so this one is one that I know a lot of people have felt this way before. And I'm pretty sure if you haven't, then I don't know. I don't know. Maybe you're lying, but basically, where it's like you kind of fed up with the way the world is. You kind of fed up either, a lot of tragedy in your life, so you're just kind of like just need to get out of the rut, or that it's the pettiness in the world, the ugliness that you see in people and all around the world. He's kind of, what, I'm done. It's tired of just seeing the negativity. And in this book, the main character is almost just like that. So he was a very successful lawyer in the book, and he, well, I guess, and really, so was the author. So it is kind of funny in that aspect, and probably by design. But the lawyer, his wife died a handful of years before, at the beginning of the story, and so just kind of like living in a rut, didn't know what to do with himself, and he sees an ad. It was in a catalog, because in this day and age, before the internet, and it sees an ad that says Magic Kingdom for sale, and it's for, I believe, for $1 million. So it's crazy because it's in modern day at the time, and sees the thing in the ad to buy a Magic Kingdom. And so, he says, go for it. And so he does. He goes for it. And it's very interesting. I won't give any more away from that, because there's a lot that goes on with it, but so crazy. It's so interesting, and it's such an interesting take and what goes from there. And it does span 5 or 6 books total. And I do think he might even be thinking about doing some more, which is I'm really excited for. But the way that it spins this, and the things that he comes up with, is it's so brilliant and so in depth that it just makes you want to read more. Like, I've read this one through a few times, and well, in the whole series, and I think the last time it has been a few years. I think I was deployed when the last time I read this, but yeah, such amazing book. When anybody wants a recommendation for a book, this is usually one of my first 2, because it's easy enough that you can get through it pretty quick. It's not extremely extremely detailed and extremely heavy in that aspect that it's gonna, it can get boring at times and bogged down. No, it's the pacing is great in this, and it's lighthearted enough that it can really, anybody that likes the fantasy genre, that the fiction type genre, of making up a story of magic, of magic kingdoms, castles, all that kind of stuff. Um, you're gonna love this book. It's awesome. I can't recommend it enough. Um, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. Love it. All right, that's it. 5 books. 5 books for vets. Yeah. So, and again, so I'm doing this type of stuff because, again, I love reading. I think it's so important, and it's one of my greatest pastimes. And I do think so many people can benefit from something like this, because being able reading stuff like this, and especially when you get into the heavier fantasy stuff or even a lot harder stuff, like, you're not only learning, yeah, it might not be, about chemistry, it might not be about mathematics, and might not be about coding, anything like that, but, or, for vets, one of their biggest ones I see, they're always reading the war stories, the World War II, the Band of Brothers, Saving Private Ryan, that American Sniper, which, again, fantastic books, are great, and they all have their own place, and I would never knock any kind of book at all, um, except maybe the Twilight ones, but they're just not written very well. Let's be honest. But the written word is so important, and it's so much, so it has so many beneficial factors into it. Being able to escape, being able to turn off your mind and just engross yourself in these stories. And you see them, the memes and stuff, and the posts online of, when you finish a good book and you don't know what to do with your life at that point, and it's true. It's one of those, like, when you get so engrossed in a story that you finish and you're all like, I don't know what to do. Like, I want that story to keep going. I want that world to keep going. And there's something magical about it. And so that's why I want to do it. I want to share that love of mine, but also I want to, any kind of veteran that is struggling, I mean, I encourage you, I behoove you to try out some of these books. And if not some of these, even by the same author, look some other ones. They have a ton of them. I can guarantee you, out of one of these, you'll find something that you would enjoy. And even if you're not a big reader, try it out. See if you like it. It's something that reading should be something everyone does. When people say they don't read, like, it blows my mind, because I think it should be something that every single person should do in some way, shape, or form. So with that, let me know in the comment section. Do you like these books? Have you read them? Do you not? If you have read them, you don't like them, tell me why. But yeah, hit the like button, hit the share button, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you can stay up to date, and it'll give you a notification for all the new videos I put up. So until the next time, we'll talk to you guys later.